Karen Roby, EdBot here for ZDNet. We're talking today about backing up our PCs, Macs, and Ed, this can be a frustrating thing for people. And I think it's not something we all stop to think about, but I'm glad that you have here to put this together for us.
Well, it's one of those things where most people don't think about backups until they have to. And,
Yeah.
it could be that, your hard disk crashes and you can't recover the data on it. All it makes is that clicking sound, that horrible clicking sound. Or you spill a cup of coffee on your laptop
Yeah.
and oops, and the storage just soldered onto the motherboard there. So you're never going to get that back either.
Right.
It's most people find out how important backups are when that kind of thing happens and they've lost something really precious, and they can't get it back. So so I thought about this and I said, okay, I'm going to put together. We've got a 4-step program, 4 things you need to think about to put together a backup strategy.
Yeah, and these are again a program you said of 4 steps. Of course, these are all laid out for us here on ZDNet. So go through those for us, Ed, again, because like you said, sometimes it's too late before we think about putting a program like this in place.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so step 1 is to decide what backup approach you want to use. Okay, and there's basically three of those. So one is just save the important stuff. Okay, and that's for somebody like you probably have a laptop issued by your work, and all your work files are on your company's server. So you don't really need to worry about your work files. You don't need to worry about restoring. Something goes wrong with your laptop, the company will send you a new one, and they'll fix the old one, right? So in a case like that, you're not really too worried about work stuff. You just want to make sure that your things like your music files and your digital photos and movies and your personal resume are saved, so you've got them. Okay. So second approach is to save all your backup files. You say, look, I got schoolwork for the kids. I got my own personal work files for the job that I have, for my second job or my home business or something. And so, for something like that, you want to back up all your data files and you say, look, if something happens to my PC, I'll get a new one, I'll reinstall Windows, whatever, and I'll restore my data files. I don't need to worry about being able to, restore everything. As long as all my data files are there, I'm fine. Okay. And the third approach is the one that is most important for people who really care about business continuity, right? You've got your PC. It's got your business on it. Your business is open every day, and if something happens to your computer, you want to have a backup computer there. You want to be able to put your backup files on it and be back up in business, exactly where you were as quickly as possible. So in a case like that, you don't just need your data files backed up, you need the operating system, all your apps, all your settings. You want a complete image of your system. Okay, so that's step number 1, just to choose one of those strategies. Step number 2 is to organize your data files. It doesn't matter which of those strategies you're going to take. I consider it a really important thing for people to do to say, you got data over here, you got data over there, move them into well-known locations. On a Mac, that's your the home folder on your user profile, which has your documents and downloads and photos and such. On a Windows PC, it's your user profile folders. I know people have all sorts of idiosyncratic strategies for organizing data on multiple hard drives and such, but you're going to do best if you put data where the software expects to find it. So organize it so that you can find it and so the backup software can find it. Step 3 is to decide where you want to store that data. Now this is a multiple choice question, right? Because there's 3 answers. There's the cloud, there's local, and there's both. Now I'm a big believer in the cloud for backing up data files. It'll save your butt. Just nonstop. The best possible thing you can do is to move those data files up to the cloud and then sync them down, ideally to at least 2 different local devices. So you've always got a copy somewhere that you can put your hands on. The trouble with the cloud is that if something happens to your local device and you've got a lot of data, your internet connection might not be the fastest thing in the world. You got a terabyte of data. It could take you days to download all that data. And that's just assuming that your internet service provider will allow you to do that. And that's assuming that, you're not going to have to pay a small fortune for that. So that's where local backups come in handy also. Local backup is handy to have because when something happens and you need to restore your data, local copy, you plug it into your USB port and you can restore your data as fast as that hard drive and your storage bus will work together to restore them. So the best strategy, as far as I'm concerned, is both. You sync the data files up to the cloud and you have an image stored locally that you can restore to a new PC or to a new copy of Windows or a new copy of Mac OS if you need it. And then finally, and this is the step that most people don't take, and it's the one that jumps up to bite them every single time. Step 4 is make sure your backup works. Because people do these things, they spend money and they buy backup software and they do these backups and then something happens and they go to restore it and they discover the backup file's corrupt. The files that they needed weren't in the backup. And so, you weren't able to do that. Now, this is a hard thing for some people to do, especially if you only have one PC in your home or your small office. It's a lot easier to do if you're in a work environment where you have an extra PC that you can use to test things on. Now, a lot of backup software, though, a lot of modern backup software lets you mount your backup file in a virtual machine. So you can look at it. You can see, does it have everything I need in it? Is it running does it have the programs that I want? Does it have the data, all of the data files that I expect to be there? But that really, it's probably the single most crucial step is to make sure that your backup works, because you don't want to discover that, that something went wrong when you most desperately need it, because that just makes, that just adds insult to injury at that point.
Yes, it most certainly does. And all of this software built in, though, Ed, are there other options, or is that software good enough, or other things to look to?
Yeah, so Mac OS has Time Machine, which has that funky interface from a million years ago, but it works. It works very, very well, and the way it keeps continuous copies of your system as you're going along. You have it plugged into a local USB drive typically, and then so you reinstall a copy of Mac OS, and then you run the migration assistant from your Time Machine copy, and that installs things. It's not particularly elegant or full-featured, but it gets the job done. Windows has two separate utilities that you use. One is the old Windows 7 backup program, which can create an image of your PC with the operating system and your apps and such. And then you use a program called File History, which keeps copies of your data files. And it allows you to go back through versions of your data files, just like Time Machine does. In fact, the interface is almost identical to Time Machine. So both of those sets of tools are good. They're good enough for most people, but third-party software can do a better job. It can work faster. It's more flexible in terms of things like scheduling and such. So that's why we went together and found 5 third-party programs. All of them run on Windows, and 3 of them are available on Mac OS. So they, now the interesting thing is, I won't go through all 5 of them, but basically they're all worth looking at. Some of them are free. In fact, 3 of them have free versions. All of them have trial versions that you can try, but some have free versions. And the thing to look out for if you use one of these free versions is to see which features are missing from them, because there's always a catch. They want to get you to upgrade. But in some cases, there's a program called Macrium Reflect, for example, that I've used here, very full featured. It does everything that I need it to do, and I'd be happy with it. There's another program, and I'm gonna, probably mangle their name. That it's Ease Us or Ease US, and they have this program called Toto Backup or To Do Backup. I have no idea which one it is, but but they have a free version.
Mhm.
But the trouble is, if you use their free version, you get constant reminders, upsell reminders to, oh, you need to upgrade if you want to use this feature. There's a little flashing thing or a, notification that pops up and says, hey, $29.95, and you can get the new version. Some people just say, yeah, well, that's the price of using, free software, and I'll just click and make that notification go away. Other people find it really annoying. So, I think that's really important to look at. There's differences in the licensing models for these. Some of the free versions are licensed only for home use, only for non-commercial use. Other software is licensed, even if you pay for it, you can pay less and use it for home. But if you want to use it on a business network, you have to pay more. So you have to pay attention to the licensing restrictions on these. And then finally, there's features like the ability to back things up to the cloud. And there's a couple interesting options there. Acronis, with their True Image product, probably has the best known name in backup, and they have their own data centers. And if you have their subscription service, depending on which level of subscription you're at, you get 500 gigabytes or a terabyte or up to 5 terabytes of cloud storage on their servers. There's other providers that will allow you to back up to Google Drive or OneDrive or Dropbox. So, all those things to take into account there. One of the things we didn't do in this guide was to try to pick a winner, because after going through all of these and after looking at all the different considerations that people have for backing up their data, it's a personal decision. It's based on what your needs are and what your preferences are. And the best thing that we can encourage people to do is to start with that list of 5 products, find the 2 or 3 that look like they might be the best candidates, and then give them a try and see if they get the job done for you.
Some excellent advice. And it's definitely just one of those things you don't want to wait till it's too late or till something terrible has happened and you've lost something precious, Ed, because like you said, oh, I just knocked that over. Sorry. I kicked my foot out. Sorry. Oops, hold on. Let me restart that.
At least you didn't lose anything. At least you didn't lose any data there.
See, there you go. So be proactive, right? Don't wait till it's too late. Take care of these kind of things ahead of time. And of course, Ed, I know you've got all of these steps lined out on your article there on ZDNet.
Exactly.
All right. We hope you will all check it out there. Again, Ed, thank you for the advice on that. And we appreciate you all watching.